Mozambique is one of the least visited countries in Africa, and all over the world many Europeans, especially Portuguese, choose to live in this country because of its climate, its landscape, and its economic life. Stay with me to know how life is in Mozambique and many other interesting things. One of the main attractions tourism in Mozambique are environmental conservation areas where can be done safari. These protected areas cover more than 12% of the country's area, consisting of 6 national parks and 6 national reservations. The largest conservation area in the country is a regular national reservation, where we can see lions, leopards, elephants, buffaloes, zebras, African wolves, and other species, due to years of civil war, habitat loss, and uncontrolled use of natural resources. Mozambique's giraffe population has declined rapidly. In recent years, reintroduction has been carried out, and it is estimated that there are about 250 African giraffes south of this country. 3 rhinos became extinct in Mozambique for 40 years due to poaching and civil war. But in 2022, 20 white rhinos and 7 black rhinos from South Africa were successfully reintroduced into various national parks. As we can see, the people of Mozambique are very serious about protecting survival of their species. For poaching has been a major problem for decades in Mozambique. Rhino horn prices range from $3,600 to $17,000, with the 2 main markets in China and Vietnam, where they are used in traditional medicine. Horn removal. Rubbing rhino horns is a precaution against poachers. Doesn't kill them, but the horns grow back after a few years. And what hunters value is their weight, so even if they don't grow back completely, they can still kill them. If you are an animal advocate, you can find various organizations on the internet that offer volunteer programs for the protection of rhinos and other species. 5. If you live in Mozambique and have children, maybe you prefer private school because public schools are overcrowded and have few resources. Health system is inadequate, especially in urban areas. Bimaputo is better, but advised to have private health insurance and go Africa South for serious treatment. Most doctors speak Portuguese and English, and some medicines are hard to find. Health insurance is very important because if you have an accident, you may have to pay in advance for treatment. Another important thing is to take malaria prevention drugs and protect yourself from mosquito bites at all times, because malaria is an endemic disease in the country. 6 mosaics have 30,000 km of highways, but only 5,600 are paved, and most of them are around Tutupo and other large urban areas. To travel outside these areas, a 4-wheeler car is required, as small vehicles are not suitable. There are also 3,100 km of rail lines frequently used by indigenous and expatriate people. 7. Mozambique is one of the poorest countries on the African continent and is frequently affected by devastating droughts and cyclones that cause flooding in coastal areas. Living in coastal areas or in the fertile valley of the Zambezi River in the north. 8. The country's diverse wildlife population, including water buffalo, elephants, warthog, leopards, baboons, giraffes, zebras, antelope, lions, rhinos, hippos, crocodiles, and many more. 9. It can be said that the most common insects, the deadly disease in Mozambique, is the Plasmodium falciparum mosquito, because it transmits malaria. But there are also deaths from attacks by other animals, especially crocodiles. Several tens of people die every year due to attacks by these reptiles, with most of the victims being children and women who go to the river to take a bath or wash water. Clothing. 10 snakes, including pythons, vipers, and cobras, live throughout the country. Also, there are flamingos, storks, white herons, hornbills, pelicans, ibis, and other water birds, especially in the more humid areas of the northwest. Music. 11. The region's economy is driven mainly by agriculture and fishing. More than 80% of Mozambicans work as farmers. Music. Some of Mozambique's main exports include cotton, shrimp, sugar, and oranges. This country is also one of the largest producers of Indian peanuts in Africa. 12. Mining also plays an important role in Mozambique, with key resources such as gold and tantalum metals that used in electronics. 13. Only about a third of the population of Mozambique live in urban areas such as the capital or other cities. The largest cities are Maputo, Beira, and Nampula. Most of the population live in rural areas, and many of them live in traditional huts. Over 80 languages are spoken in the country, including the Hilly Rice language, which is spoken in the northwestern part of the country, whereas Sona is the main regional language along the border with Zimbabwe, and Stomba is spoken in the southern areas. Portuguese is the language taught in all 15 coastal schools, which, sprawling in front of the Mozambique Channel, offers some of the best natural harbors in Africa, which has allowed the country to play an important role in the maritime economy of the Indian Ocean. While its white sandy beaches are a major attraction in the thriving tourism industry, on the other hand, the fertile soils of the main and central regions in producing diverse and abundant agriculture, and the Zambezi River has provided abundant water for irrigation, and is the basis for the region's important hydropower industry. 16 recent complicated history in Mozambique has prevented the people from enjoying its natural advantages and developing a stable economy after independence. In 1975, Mozambique faced internal conflict when the Maxis government, backed by the Soviet Union, fought anti-communist forces funded by South Africa and former Rhodesia for control of the country. 17 civil wars in Mozambique that began in 1977 displaced 4 million people and caused 1 million deaths. Others due to violence, hunger, and disease. The conflict ended in 1992, but the effects are still ongoing today. Besides that, in some of the national parks in the country, 90% of the large mammals have been killed. 18 these areas are known to have been inhabited since the 4th century BC, and in the 4th century BC 980, the first coastal settlements were established. At that time, the hilly rice field culture predominated. 19th, Vasco da Gama arrived in Mozambique in 1498, and the port city helped the Portuguese build a trading center in the Indian Ocean. Mozambique just became independent from Portugal in 1975. 20th, the name Mozambique comes from an Arab trader named Musa Albik, who settled on an island in the sea in the 15th century. At that time, the capital was on this island until 1898, when it was moved to Maputo, which is located on the 21st continent. In the 18th century, slaves were an important part of the exploitation trade. Mozambique trader Yo developed a network of slaves from the Maraf area around the tip of his lake and the island of Mozambique. 22 largest lake in the area is Nyasa, which is divided between Mozambique, Malawi, and Tanzania. This lake is also known as Lake Malawi. In this lake, it is rumored to have seen a species of sea snake known as Dimwe. In 1905, a newspaper reported a story about a group of missionaries who were attacked by a sea snake who tried to board the ship they were traveling on. It is the site of the first settlement and fort of Sao Sebastian. Long ago, this island was a major trading post on the Indian 24 camel route. The Oro is a popular beach holiday destination for many South Africans, as it sits just across the border from its golden beaches. And there are many resorts nearby. At Mansell Beach, you can visit the Kawama Tortoise Hatchery, and Buff 25 Como Reza National Park is located at the southern tip of the Arif Valley of Africa. This site was badly damaged during civil war, and most of the animals are secretly poached. Only about 200 elephants survived, but thanks to rehabilitation efforts, now they are being tracked down and protected by park rangers. Music. 26 discovery of large reserves of natural gas and petroleum off the northern coast of the country led to the establishment of new industries in the region. Mozambique's largest trading partner is South Africa, India, Netherlands, China, United Arab Emirates, as well as Portugal. 27 as a country long ruled by Portugal, the Portuguese language and Catholicism still remain in many parts of the country. Cultural influences in Mozambican traditions can still be found, but many people are also attached to their native culture. Music. 28 about 1 million Mozambicans live with HIV or AIDS, and this country is among the 3 countries with the highest rates of this disease among the population. Mozambique is behind South Africa and India in the number of people infected. 29 pics are sauces or spices made from red chilies. Spicy, which is used in many dishes in Mozambique itself, means pepper in the language of rice fields. Hilly. This sauce also contains lemon, garlic, and onions. 30 eyes pa is another traditional food, also known as merjuane, and is prepared with cassava leaves sauteed and mixed with mashed peanuts or cashew nuts in a thick sauce eaten with rice. 31 Mozambique is home to many animals and plants are rare or endangered, and the country is also known for its communities of white and black collis monkeys and gelada baboons. 32 Most of the Mozambicans speak the auxiliary language of the linguistic group Niger. In the auxiliary group, the Ulster language Long Gisonga Sona and Trouble are the most scattered. Music. 33 small groups in the south and throughout the country share a spoken language with South Africans and Zimbabweans. As a result of large population movements in the 19th century, 34 The more densely populated rural areas are those with the best soils and climates, including river valleys Lorio and Ligan Age. The coastal plains between them and the lower part of the valley, 35 people in small settlements usually grow a variety of crops in a distinct and specific environment to minimize the risk of famine in the event of floods, drought, pests, or other natural disasters. 36 in 1962, the Mozambican representative of the group, exile, political groups rallied in what is now Tanzania and formed the Mozambique Liberation Front. Eduardo Student Lane was its first president. This role then started the War for Independence, which was achieved in 1975 with the Lusaka Agreement, with Portugal up to 7 infant mortality rates in this country, including highest in the world, while life expectancy is among the lowest, although comparable to other countries in Africa. 2/5 of the population of Mozambique was under 15 years old, and 3/4 of under 30 years of age. 38 during the colonial era, Mozambicans worked in other countries' neighbors as contract workers and independent workers, especially in the mining areas of South Africa and in the ranches and Rhodesian towns that are now Zimbabwe. 39 The forests along the Bellora Railway and the northern province of Zambezia have been exploited since independence as a major source of fuel. Domestic firewood and timber. People in this country, more wood is cut than replaced by reforestation initiatives. So this is a reason for concern, as well as the long-term ecological impact of growing eucalyptus. 40 Mozambique's official currency is medical, which in plural is written as medicals. This country is privatizing its banking sector since the 1990s and is in debt to finance development and overcome foreign exchange shortages. Part 1 Private planes were the first to fly regularly in Mozambique. But after World War II, Portugal National Airline opened a route between Beira and Maputo. Finally, in the colonial era, this country developed an airline-owned airline, which was replaced in 1980 by Mozambique Airlines. 42 in November 1990, a new constitution was implemented, which introduced significant changes in government, such as multi-party elections, general elections, and secret ballots. In this document, death penalty was absent, freedom of the press was allowed, and workers' right to strike was allowed. 43 communities. Mozambique has traditionally been family and community-centered, but the government has opposed traditional practices, such as polygamy and various initiation ceremonies and regulation of tribal chiefs who have held positions of power. Since colonial rule. 44 in the late 1990s, the government stopped their campaign against polygamy and initiation ceremonies, recognized that the custom these are difficult to regulate. Regulos and other local authorities have an important role in government. 45 The daily staple food for most Mozambicans is cassava, which is cooked, pureed, and served with sauces or rice masses. Also forms the basis of many dishes and is usually served with beans of Indian influence seen in the various types of nasi killa, in which the rice is cooked with chopped vegetables or meat, and also with the use of curry as a flavoring. 46 Mozambique has produced some of the most important writers and artists in Africa, and since the early 20th century, writers and journalists have published their own newspapers in Maputo called O Africano and later O Brado Africano, which, although censored during colonial times, provided a forum for African intellectuals and writers for decades. 47 Mozambique popular music combines Western and African influences. A style of popular music is the marabenta, which originates in the 1950s and was first played with a home guitar made from oil or gasoline cans. Parabenta lyrics are usually political in nature. This style was developed during the colonial period as a way to criticize the government in a non-threatening manner. The dances associated with this style are performed throughout 48 countries. In March 2019, Mozambique was hit by Cyclone Idai, which killed around 600 people and destroyed most of the city-state, the most notable impact being Beira, which was almost completely destroyed. 49 Mozambique is divided into 10 provinces and a capital with province status. The provinces are then divided into these 129 districts, and districts are further divided into administrative posts and then into locations. And if you want to know about other countries, see another video here, and don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss our other videos.